This video isn't going to be a one-to-one on how to get to my power rank exactly, so we'll just even it out. We'll just say 60k power rank. This will be a general guideline to get up towards 60k power rank. I know we don't have 60k power rank, but 59.7 at the time you're recording this. There may be situations where you might have more mastery, you might have certain dragons, you might have certain gear, you might have something that benefits you a little bit more compared to other people. So whatever your situation is, just take my guide as like a general guideline, if that makes sense. If you have extra stuff, that's great. If you don't, you can follow along with my guide, and hopefully this helps you get to the power rank milestone that you want. I'm gonna make this as short and simple as possible. There is a lot to talk about, but I don't want to get into the details of how to farm nitro. I don't want to get super far into the details of how to do weeklies. I have videos talking about all of this. If you're not sure how to get crystal 4 gear, if you're not sure how to get lunar souls and power gem boxes, I have a guide for all of this, and I'm sure other Trove content creators do as well. So if I talk about gear crafting, for example, which is that stuff over there, I'll do a general guideline of it. If there's something you have a question about, feel free to check out a video dedicated to that, because otherwise this power rank video is going to go on for too long. I want to make this as short and simple as possible. So starting things off, when you pick a character, you start with your quest line. You have to do this quest line. You don't have to, but it's going to help you out a ton because it gives you radiant and power gems and stellar gems. If you want a representation, I have a power rank series. I have a couple of them actually, but basically you're going to have to do the tutorial quest lines. When you spawn, you pick a character, things like that. It'll have you go through a quest line. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you have to talk to Quebsley at the hub, and then eventually it's going to have you level up. It's going to have you go through each world, and then eventually the elemental worlds. Once it takes you to the elemental worlds, you're going to get your first stellar water gem, stellar air gem, and then stellar fire gem. And as you're doing that, you're going to get your radiant and power gems as well. You can keep the radiance for now, but eventually you're going to want to get all of your gems to stellar, because this is going to be up towards 30k power rank. So when you're just starting out, follow the quest line and work your way up through the quest line so you can get to Drowned World, which is over here. And you're probably going to be in D6, for example. So as you're doing your quest line, as you're getting all your gems, it's going to get you to about 5,000 power rank. Now, as you get to 5,000 power rank, this is where you get access to Geo Topside, specifically D11. Now, you could get your crystal gear from here. Crystal gear is going to be very beneficial for you because it'll boost your power rank a ton, especially when you add Pearl of Wisdoms to it. So the enchanted forge over here, your gear is going to look something like this, except instead of the purpley theme that I have for Mystic, this is the highest rarity. You're going to have Crystal, which is going to give you the same stat. Oh, not the same stats, but it's the same stats, just a little bit less of that stat, because obviously Mystic is better than Crystal. But you will notice a big jump in your power rank the moment you get crystal gear. And when you get crystal gear, you need to get Pearl of Wisdoms and enchant it here at the forge. Now, this is what I was talking about. Pearl of Wisdoms, how do you get them? Well, from the marketplace, but at the time of you recording this, there is no marketplace. So you can get them from chaos chests. That's one way to do it. You get chaos chests from dungeons. Also, you can very rarely get Pearl of Wisdoms from doing dungeons. It's extremely rare though. And the other way is from gearcrafter boxes, which we're going to get into that in a second. Either way, Pearl of Wisdoms, add that to all of your crystal gear. And the cool thing about that is if you have a crystal level 1, crystal level 2, crystal level 3, I'm not talking about the stars when you forge it, like the actual level. So like this, for example, this says crystal level 4. I just opened some gearcrafter boxes. You will eventually want to work up to this. When you add a Pearl of Wisdom, it'll give you an additional stat. And then as you can see, I have 1 pearl into critical damage over there. Each of your stats will have 2 pearls on them. So it'll look something like this. So you can see 2 pearls. When you add the pearls, you can take it to a loot collector and you get all of your pearls back, which is cool. And also, these are the ones that I got from my gearcrafter boxes, so I can get Pearl of Wisdoms from that too. So once you add your Pearl of Wisdoms to your gear, that'll boost your power rank a lot again. So you can either get your Crystal 1 gear from D11, or you can do delves, but it's gonna be a little bit tricky. If we do /join delve, there's a specific chat for this, where you can see if somebody's hosting 115 plus delves. The idea of delves is that you go through a portal, it's gonna be something really weird. You're like inside of a cave. It'll start you at either 115, maybe 70, 80, whatever the case is. And when you defeat the boss after the 3rd time, a shadowy vault will spawn. And in that shadowy vault, you're gonna wanna use this key to open it up, and that's how you're gonna get your lunar souls. Lunar souls are gonna be super important. And by the way, I have a video for this. It's called How to Get Your Weeklies. And you wanna do these weeklies because every Monday, it resets. So make sure to craft 6 keys a week. You can craft more, but make sure you're using these 6 times a week. You want to use it on the vault, ideally at 115 plus, but if you're unable to do that, that's okay. You can start as low as depth 25, or you can join a public portal. I don't want to get too in depth into this. I have a video talking about this, and I'm sure other content creators have videos for this as well. I just want to talk about how you're going to get the power rank. So once you get your 6 delve shadow keys, if you're not sure how to get these, you need to get the fragments. To get the fragments, as you can read the description here, it says from Fey Forest or higher, which is going to be over here. This is D4. so D4 or higher. Any higher difficulty than this will get you the fragments. So keep doing dungeons in that area. That's all you have to do. And then eventually you can go over to this bench and craft your keys. There's also another bench. That was the Delve workbench. You can also craft them in the all-purpose key mold, and it'll be in there. So that's going to be for your weeklies. If you do all 6 of your weeklies, you're going to get your lunar souls, and you're going to go to the Shadow Tower entrance portal. What we want to look for is called the Shadowy Market, which your club world might have one. In case you don't, you can come over here and go to the Shadowy Market. Over here to Lunar Souls, and this is where we're going to get your Empower Gem boxes. This is also where we're going to get a big portion of your power rank. You want to look for a 3-star Stellar Gem. If you don't know if it's a 3-star, at level 1 it should have 3 stars on the Empower Gem. If it's a Radiant, you can put it on temporarily if you need it, but ideally you want to get to Stellar. If it's a Stellar 2-star, you can put that on temporarily, but if you're unsure, just go to a Gem Forge. At level 15, you're going to get all 3 of your boosts. If it shows 2 boosts, then that means it's a 2-star. You need to get rid of it at some point. Because what happens with these gems is that if you get a 2-star Empower Gem, at level 5, it gives you the 3rd stat. At level 10, it gives you a boost. And at 15, it gives you another boost. Whereas if you had a 3-star Stellar, it would start you with all 3 stats, and then at 5 you would get a boost, 10 you get a boost, and 15 you get a boost. And these little circles over here is called boost. I call them boosts. As you can see, it's all around my gems over here. And the main thing is you want to be looking for a 3-star empowered gem, and you want to get one for all of your colors. They have to be different stats. So you can't have 2 pyrodiscs, you can't have 2 explosive epilogues or 2 clash gems. This is my clash gem. If you don't know what a clash gem is, basically it's a unique ability specifically for your character. Your questline will take you through it once you get to level 25. At 25 you get a key, and then with your key you can go to the Shores of Everdark. Doesn't matter which one you do. There is a chance you can get a Mystic 3-star though, which is pretty huge. If you get a Mystic 3-star, awesome. If you get a Stellar 3-star, you know, you can use that as well. It is totally okay. But as long as you have 3-star empowered gems, even if it's the wrong ability, don't worry too much about it. Your main goal is to make progress. If you're stuck behind trying to get a Pyrodisc or a Berserk Battler, you might end up spending half a year not making progress because you can't get this ability. If you get a 3-star Empowered Gem, put it on. Don't worry too much about the ability. Later on down the line, once you eventually do get the correct ability, then you can swap it out and then put whatever gem you have been working on a different character. That way it's not like a complete total waste. And all of your Radiants, all of your 2-star Stellar Gems, anything like that, you can go ahead and loot collect them. And then if we go over to the Adventurous Crafting bench and go to the Gems tab, you can go over here and craft your Guaranteed Stellar box if you have the fragments. It takes 10 fragments to craft one. The annoying part about this is that you can get a 2-star Empowered Gem. I personally wouldn't worry about the Mystic or Crystal Empowered Gem boxes. I just stick with these because the annoying thing about this is that you can get a Clash Gem Key Fragment or a 2-star Empowered Gem, which is very annoying. It's very costly, so you don't want to waste your resources. So try your luck with these Stellar Empowered Gem boxes. Try to get your 3-star Stellar Empowered Gems. Not really much I can say about them. It's going to come down to RNG if you get the right color, and then a 3-star. Now for your lesser gems, don't worry at all because they're always going to be a 3-star unless you played back in like 2015 where that wasn't the case, but we're in 2026, so we should be chilling. Now once you work your way to get a stellar 3-star Empowered Gem for each of your spots, even if you don't, just keep working at it. Keep spending your lunar souls on the Empowered Gem boxes. Just do your best, and then eventually you'll get a stellar 3-star for each spot. And then as for your lesser gems, the questline that we talked about earlier, it'll give you a stellar gem for each spot apart from your cosmics. And at that point in the game, you will be at 10,000 power rank minimum. You might be higher. If you're a little bit lower, just start leveling up your stellar Empowered Gem if it's a 3-star, or your stellar lesser gems. Just level those up a little bit. If you have the dust, you should have the dust. If you don't, then you can farm in the appropriate elemental world depending on the colored gem that you need. So water is going to be drowned, air is going to be yellow, and fire is going to be this area over here. You'll get the boxes, you can loot collect the gems, and then you get the dust. But when you're going through the quest line, it's going to give you a decent bit of gem dust anyway. You can try to level up your gems to 15. And like I said, as you're doing that, minimum, you'll be at 10,000 power rank. Now at 10,000 power rank, you get access to D12, which is amazing because this is where you're going to spend a lot of your time. You're going to spend a bunch of your time farming here to get your stellar gems for all of your spots. You have to do this. You need to get stellar gems for all of your spots. Cosmics are going to be weird. You get your stellars from your cosmic in D13. So for the time being, just go to D12, get your shadows. If they have light, that's awesome. You will need light, but it's going to kind of suck being in D12. So just get your cosmics. They're going to be shadow. It's whatever. You can level them up a little bit, but don't worry too much about them. Once you get to D13, that's where you're going to get your stellars. And then for the other ones, you'll get them at D12. So that's going to be the only exception there. Now, once you're getting stellar gems for all of your spots, you're going to want to level them to 25. Now, this is where some situations may differ, because eventually down the line you might go to your gems tab, you might get a crystal gem converter. Maybe you already leveled up a gem to 25, you can use a crystal gem converter that'll boost the power rank. I would use those on the empowered gems, by the way, or if you have a really good stellar gem, you can do it on that too. But if you have a maxed out stellar gem, then you can use a crystal gem converter. I would do it on the empowered gems, and that will help out your powering situation. So once you get your gems to 25, like I said, some people will get their gems to 20, not all of them to 25. Some people might have primordial dragons, some people might have more mastery, more dragons. They might have a mystic 3-star, they might have better gear, they might have a better wife. It depends on your situation. We're just gonna pretend that we're all terrible at the game. And don't worry, it's only temporary. Level up your gems to 25. Make sure they're all 3-star empowered gems. Level those to 25. That'll get your power rank up a ton. And the final thing that you would want to do is finish your gear crafting profession. Your questline is going to take you through it. This is the gear crafting forge. You want to get this to level 250 so you can unlock this section. This section isn't going to matter too much for you, but what happens is if you get a class that's at minimum 25k power rank, if you have been doing but I have been telling you to do, you will be at 25,000 power rank. Stellar gems, max them out. At 25k power rank, you can open up these boxes, gear crafter boxes. It'll get you either a crystal level 3 or a crystal level 4. So like I said, this is crystal level 4. It'll either get you a 3 or a 4. And the cool thing about this is that it's going to be at 2 stars. So if you take it to a forge, that's 2 of the levels already done. So that saves you resources. And obviously make sure you add Pearl of Wisdoms to it. If you don't, you're going to be missing out on a ton of powering. And the main thing here is that you want to go for the crystal 4s. The crystal 4s will stick with you up until 45k powering. You might get lucky, you might get a crystal 5 before that. But like I said, we're just going to pretend that we're all terrible at the game and we have horrible RNG. Crystal 4s will stick with you until 45k powering, because at 45k, that's when you can start getting crystal 5s from these boxes. And it'll be at 2 stars, like I said before. So the moment you get crystal 4s from those boxes, which by the way, I've gotten them from as low as 17k powering, but the only reason why I'm recommending 25k is because better RNG. It's either going to be a crystal 3 or a crystal 4. And if you can get a crystal 4 for all 3 pieces, that is going to be amazing, because that's what you're going to do to get to 30k powering. Crystal 4 gear, and then level 25 stellar gems. There are additional things you can do, like I mentioned. You can get your crystal gem converters, you can level up your crystal 4 gear, and the other thing I didn't mention is going to be your banner and your ring. There are some 75 power rank allies. The delve workbench at the hub is going to have some, depending on your character. I have videos talking about this, by the way, but animated jug, or we'll just talk about it real quick. Just go over to the hub, go to the right side, the delve workbench. Delve allies, the ones at the bottom here. So animated jug if you're using a physical damage character, and then Aver if you're using a magic damage character. So those will be your 75 power rank allies. Your ring, you're gonna eventually do the profession. So if you're at the hub, you just go to the back area in this corner. This is gonna be the ring crafting bench. You wanna try to get the profession finished, or at least up to crystal, which is gonna be this category over here. But once the market opens up, at least on PC, you can start buying them from the marketplace. A crystal 4 ring box, that is. I don't know why it's at the bottom there, but as you can see, it's the golden signatory box, and they have one for every character. The ones at the bottom here, crystal 5 ring boxes, you're going to ignore these completely. They're useless. And depending on your situation, you could potentially get a mystic ring. But ideally, a crystal 4 ring, that'll be good enough. The powering difference isn't going to be much, but as long as you have a crystal 4 ring, which is doable if you're brand new to the game. So just work on the professions like I talked about, ring crafting, gear crafting. Those are 2 great professions. If you want some tomes, rune crafting has some great options as well. Here's a Cinnabar tome, and then here is the cybernetic catalog tome, 15 robo salvage. So there's another profession right there for you to finish if you would like. And then the other thing is going to be your banner. So I have the permatorch. You can watch videos on how to get the permatorch. I have a few of those. But if you're brand new to the game, you're doing some delves here and there, you can go to the light banners over here. You can actually craft one for yourself. I believe it's 150 power rank, whereas mine is 350. Like, it's not that much powering, but the little extra bits do help out. It's something to consider if you really need it. Just make sure you're watching for the stats. Make sure it's one that you like. This one's going to be the best one for physical damage characters. Gives you flask capacity, physical damage, and movement speed. And then here's a great one for magic damage. Gives you magic damage, flasks, and movement speed. And you get all of these materials doing delves. And when you do delves and open the boxes, the shadowy vaults, you can get these boxes over here which also contain those resources. Now with all of that out of the way, assuming you do all of that, this should take you above 30k powering, but minimum, everything that I mentioned will take you to 30k powering. And that is your main milestone. 30k powering. If you're somehow missing like 30 powering, 60 powering, there's a couple dragons you can get that'll get you there. If you go to the dragon crucible, which is in the back left part of the hub, go to the fragments. There's gonna be this dragon over here, which gives you pretty decent stats. Gives you health, magic damage, which, I mean, if you're using a physical damage character, it's whatever. This dragon doesn't require dragon coins. Also, there's a couple from Bomber Royale that you can do, which, by the way, if you do Bomber Royale, it's super helpful because there's some nice things you can get from it. Apart from this dragon specifically, which only takes 50 dragon coins, you can just do a couple coin challenges, which by the way, that's another thing you should be doing passively, coin challenges if you see those on the side. But you can get Bomber Royale coins and get these 2 tomes. The tomes will be amazing. You can finish them once a week, and then you can exchange them down over here to get some nice resources, and it's once a week. Double XP potion, dragon coins, these 2 which help with your gems, chaos cores. You can use this to unlock another class or some mastery items, depends on your needs. Apart from the Bomber Royale dragon and also the other one from in here, once the market decides to open up, you can get Albert and Fortress. Those are 2 other dragons you can get from the Trove Wonder box. I don't recommend opening up Trove Wonders, but once the markets open up on PC, I would imagine them to be pretty dang cheap. So you can get those. Those are dragons, gives you stats, gives you power rank. The primordial dragons will be better if you can get the primordial, but if it's going to take you a long time, then you can just get regular dragons. So like I mentioned, you should be at this point above 30k power rank, or at minimum 30k power rank. Now by doing everything that I have mentioned, if somehow you're not at 30k power rank, you should at least at the very minimum be at 15k power rank with the light requirements, with everything that I have talked about. And you can go to D13 and Geo Topside to get yourself stellar gems for there. And then once you get your stellar gems, level those up to 25. And at that point, you should be at 30k power rank. Now from 30k power rank and onwards, it's going to be very repetitive. All of these stellar gems that you have, you need to replace with crystals. So this is where you can do the converter that I talked about, but I would recommend doing these for your empowered gems, so your 4 empowered gems. Like I mentioned, if you somehow have a mystic 3-star, amazing. If you already had a crystal 3-star, amazing, but there's that for you as an option. You just need qubits. You get qubits by doing your dailies, do dungeons to fill up your bar, and you want to go through each elemental world. Start at D14, you need 30k power rank. There's also a light requirement, but if you do everything that I talked about, you will get there. And if you're somehow stuck on light, I have light guides, so I recommend checking that out on how to get lights, and pretty much a guide on just about anything. If you're ever stuck on anything, other content creators also have guides, I'm sure of it. But now D14, that's where you're gonna get your crystal gems, and you want to do that for every elemental world, including Geo Topside. Geo Topside, you get crystal gems from D14, so you can do that for every single spot. And the main thing from there is you want to make sure everything is crystal, and then you want to make sure you level them all the way up to 30. One thing I didn't fully mention for these stellar gems below 30k power rank is that some people worry too much about the stats. Don't worry about the stats too much. It's nice to have, but just know you're going to replace it. So don't let that drag you down. Now going back to crystal gems, I would say the same thing applies. However, you're going to struggle to do damage. So this is where you really want to focus on light specifically. So if you go to Geo Topside, make sure you're getting a cosmic gem with at minimum 2 boosts into light. So you can check that by leveling up your gem to 15. And assuming you get a gem that's 3 boosts into light, or at least 2 boosts into light, or decent power rank, whatever the case may be, level it up all the way, and you can use a mystic gem converter on those. So you can use this mystic gem converter on your empowered gems and also your lesser cosmic gems if they're pretty good, like assuming they're decent power rank and they have boosts into light. Or even if they have boosts into light and the power rank kind of sucks, don't worry, you can still use it on them. As far as your other gems go, level them to 30, make sure they're all crystal. And at this point, you should have 3-star empowered gems for all of your spots. And then at this point in time, you should have crystal 4s, and you should have them maxed out as well for your gear. As far as your ring goes, keep a crystal 4. If you get a mystic ring, awesome. At that point, I highly recommend getting a permatorch. If you don't know how to get one, I have videos covering it. You need to get a permatorch. Gives you 900 light. 350 power rank helps a little bit. The 900 light is what really helps. There is also the star chart, which that's a huge mess, takes a lot of qubits, but if you really want to make progress, you want to use your qubits on those converters. But if you have extra, then definitely use them on the star chart. I have videos talking about that as well. So the other thing I want to mention is primordial dragons. Dragons in general give you 30 power rank plus whatever mastery bonus that you get. I'm going to talk about mastery in just a second. Primordial dragons, these give you a huge boost to your power rank. For me, it's 1000 power rank because my gems are all max. It's going to be 10% of what your elemental gem is. So for water, it's going to be 10% of your water gems. Air is going to be 10% of the air, so on and so forth. The one you want to go for is this one over here on the right, the cosmic dragon. You need to get 3 dragon eggs, which you can get over here, the diamond dragon eggs, but you need this resource, which you get from your dailies. And patron is going to be very beneficial for getting these. Double starbar week is going to be very beneficial for getting these. Once the market decides to open up, you can get diamond dragonet pouches, which give you 10 per pouch. And the only other way to get the eggs is from empowered gem boxes, which is a very rare chance to even get. I'm pretty sure I have a box opening for empowered gem boxes, so feel free to check that out if you want to see what the odds are. But you need to get 3 eggs to get this cosmic primordial, and I recommend going for the cosmic primordial because this one gives you light. You will need a good bit of light, and light is very good for doing damage. And the last thing that I will talk about for this section of the video is going to be your mastery. I haven't talked about mastery too much because you didn't need to worry about it. this is where you kind of need to worry about it. So up to 500 Trove Mastery, it gives you some stats like health and damage, but you also get 4 power rank per level. So 4 power rank per level up to 500 Trove Mastery, and then everything after 500 Trove Mastery, it just gives you 1 power rank. Now it's similar for Geode. You want to get to 100 Geode Mastery because you get 10 light per level up to level 100, and also 5 power rank per level up to level 100. That's what it is at the time of you recording this. If this changes, you can adjust that accordingly, but those are the 2 other things you need to work on. So once you do that, have your Crystal 4 gear maxed out. If you somehow get a Crystal 5, awesome, you can level that up. And then make sure all of your crystal gems are maxed out. I know some people might take a different approach to this. That's what I would do. That's going to be the best way. You want to save your augments, save your other materials for other gems. At this point in time, you'll probably have a decent bit of dragon coins as well, assuming you're doing your coin challenges and also your Bomb Royale weeklies. So if that's the case, you can go to the Dragon Crucible. There's a bunch of easy dragons to craft. You can watch videos and see which ones are easy to get, and you may have gotten fragments along your journey. You can go ahead and craft some if you can. With all of that said, you should be at 42.5k power rank with 10k lights. If you're still stuck on the light portion, I recommend checking out my light video. The 42.5k power rank, you have access to D15. The only thing you can do at that point to get from 42k power rank to my power rank is you need to do the same thing you have been doing. So all of your crystal gems, they need to be mystic. So decide on which ones you want to use the Mystic Gem Converter on. Ideally your big empowered gems, and then also your lesser cosmic gems if they're decent, as in like decent lights, decent powering, things like that. Or if you decided to augment one of your gems, then you can use the converter on one of those as well. So replace all of your crystals with Mystic, level those up all the way. You'll get to 45k power rank, and at that point you can open up your gear crafter boxes and see if you can get crystal 5 gear, because you'll get them at 2 stars. Then you can start leveling up all of that. Once you level up your crystal 5 gear, you can go ahead and go to a forge, which we'll just go to the one over here at the hub. And when you right click it into the bench, you can take your crystal 5 to a mystic. It'll only give you 1 power rank, but after that you start to get more power rank when you start adding stars to your mystic. So all the way to level 5. And as you can see, this is the max powering for the gear, 2324. And mind you, this is at the time you're recording this. So pretty much from there, you're gonna have to max out your mystic gear and your mystic gems, and try to get as many dragons as you can, try to get some mastery. And with all of that, that'll take you to the power rank that I am at. I know there's other things I didn't talk about, like I very briefly went over the star chart. The star chart has some interesting things, like eventually you'll want to get Scorpius if you're using a physical damage character. I have videos talking about the star chart. You want to get to this guy over here for Scorpius, and then there's also some light nodes over here, so you want to make sure to get those. I took the physical damage route. I mean, this is the star chart build that I went with, so if there's something else you want to go with, you can feel free to change it, but this is what I believe is going to be the best. And Scorpius basically just gives you the 400 lights. If you want another ally that's 400 light, you can get Orcheon if you're using a magic damage character. So if we go over here to this side, there's going to be a Paragon bench, which is hidden underneath over here. So Paragon workbench, and Orcheon is going to be right over here. And that's gonna be 400 light. There's a couple allies that are 450 light. One of them you get from Luxian. The other one I believe was from an event. The July event specifically. I could be wrong on that. But right now Luxian is around. There's this one, but you don't really want that one. This is a 450 light ally. It depends on what you're doing, but for the majority of the time, you can just stick to Scorpius. That'll be your best bet. For the light portion, that is. I'm using free range electrolytic crystals just because they're very easy to get. So I'm using that for 300 light. If you wanted 450 light, which is the max for the auto use spot, you can go to the rune crafting bench and work on getting some repel runes. The other thing I have is Litany. It's pretty easy to get. You just have to do your martial arts bench. All you do is craft this first mantra over here. Once you craft that, it'll go into your inventory. Once you have it there, just right click it or whatever it is on console to put it to your auto use spot. I just go to a class that doesn't have an auto use, so I just go to like my Pyro Captain. Once it's in there, you go to this over here, and then you just click on craft, and that'll get you the weekly light buff. I think it's like a 1% buff. And also we have the Solarion subclass, which you just get Solarion to level 30, and that's it. You get the 140 light from that. So in case you guys wanted me to talk about that, there you go. I didn't talk about the star chart too much because it doesn't do anything to your power rank. It helps with your stats, so definitely do it for your stats if you can. There's also a couple of dragons that give lights. They don't really give that much light, but it's something to look into. Once you're in D15, that's when you can start getting it. Even if you're in D14 trying to get to D15, like it's not a necessity to get. In order to get to D15, like you can still get there without those. But yeah, you have access to D15. You can start doing D15 5-star farms, start getting the fragments so you can get the keys. These keys over here, you can open up the box at the 5-star chest. And then one more thing I want to talk about is the anvil. So from the hub, go to the back right area, and back over here is the rune anvil. You need to complete this bottom portion to unlock this top portion. And you want to eventually get to this one over here. So whenever you do 5-star dungeons, when you open the box, there's a chance you can get a runic trunk box. Basically, those boxes contain soul to depth, step score, and some other materials related to D15, which will help you out. And if this video helped you out, please drop a like. It does help out a ton. If there's something that you kind of disagree with, or if there's something you prefer to do differently, you can also drop that down in the comments down below. But pretty much that's it. You work up to get your stellar gems, level them up, you get to 30k powering. Then once you're there, you replace them with crystal gems, level those up, make sure you have crystal 4s maxed out for your gear, try to get a primordial dragon. Then eventually you get to D15. Once you're at D15, you just replace your crystal gems with mystic. Same old story. Hopefully this video at least helped out one of you guys. That is going to be all for today's video. If you guys have enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys later.